And this is what we've seen, just a 1-0. We've seen victories for Brentford, Fulham, hugely for Wolves, massively for Brighton against Manchester City, yet again for Liverpool. Earlier today, Ruud van Nistelrooy's last game in interim charge, 3-0 win against Leicester from Manchester United. Newcastle, back-to-back wins, ending the winning run of Nottingham Forest. Ipswich, the last team to get a win in the Premier League. It's their first in 22 years, 2-1 at Spurs and 1-1, as we've just brought you, between Chelsea and Arsenal. So that has been significant at the top and the bottom, but the bottom, Wolves started the weekend propping the table up. Southampton finish it. Palace started the day after defeat yesterday, fourth from bottom. They dropped into the drop zone without kicking a ball because Ipswich have moved up to 8 points. Palace, Wolves and Southampton will spend the break in the bottom three. Manchester United still in 13th on 15 points before Ruben Amorim arrives. So Liverpool lead the way under Arne Slot, 15 wins from 17 in all competitions, 5 clear of Manchester City, and a 9-point gap then back to Chelsea, Arsenal, Forest and Brighton. Newcastle up to 18, level with Fulham and with Villa.
Join us today on Telegram for free and enjoy the Premier League. Don't miss out. Link in description below.
Well, guys, well played. A hard-fought, tactical battle. Overall, Pedro, does it feel like a good day?
No, in the end, we wanted to win, but we had a hard work in front of us. We know that they are a good team. I think we came to the game to win it. Of course, we are not as happy as we wanted to be, but we don't want to lose as well. It's a good point against a tough team.
Yeah, Mark, I said it was hard-fought and tactical. What was it like to play in?
Yeah, I think same that Pedro, is a tough game. They play each other with the same ideas for a long time, but I think today we play well. For sure we want to win, but I think we draw. We need to keep going this way. I think we are doing well the thing, so we need to stay in this way and try to push more.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you both about your respective battles. Pedro, you with Ben White, you were booked, he was booked. From that point on, what do you think about, picking your moments, when to go at him, when to lay it back, when to attack, when to defend?
No, I think it's the moments of the game. So I went to him when I should go, and I hold the game when we should. So it's in terms of reading the game, this kind of stuff, and I think we did really well. We had some moments that we could done better, but I think, like Mark said, we did a really good job, and we want to improve and continue to at this level, because I think the consistency is the important point.
And then tell us about that first Premier League goal for Chelsea, because then that comes when you switch to the right.
Oh, I'm really happy. I'm really happy to help the team. Like I said, this is a group that works really hard every day, so I am one more to help the team, and I'm really happy.
And Mark, just tell us about your battle with Saka. Feels like we've seen quite a few of those over the last few seasons, and perhaps most people would agree you got the better of him today.
No, I think he's a top player. We play like a lot of times in front of each other, but I think he's big respect. I think he's a top player, so I try to do my work. I think he wants to do his work, so it's a good battle, and hopefully we can do more of this.
What is the secret against him? What do you need to do well personally?
Marco Cucurella.
No, I don't know. I try to try to don't give space. I try to be always close to him. We know he's a special talent, so I try to do my work, help my team. I need to do my job in the pitch. So I think today I try to do the best of me, and we give one poison. We need to go.
Yeah, and you joked he needs to be Marc Cucurella. You obviously need to be Pedro Neto. Do you feel like you're growing into that Chelsea shirt? The performances are getting better and better?
Yeah, like I said, I work every day to improve it, and I'm trying to get to my best and continue, so it's what I will continue to do.
OK, well, player of the match, named by your old friend Gary Neville, Marc Cucurella.
No, thank you, Pedro. Thank you, Pedro.
I don't know what to say to that, do you?
No, it's a pleasure. I think I try to do my work. Hopefully we can win the game, but the same I say, we have one more point. The league is long, so we need to keep going, keep improving. So in the end of the league, we see where we are.
Play, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
Well, it going. Frank, you talk about progression. It's the first time Chelsea have been in the top three in the Premier League in 2.5 years.
Wow.
Where they are tonight.
Yeah, that says it all. It's been a tough, difficult 2 seasons really for Chelsea. Not especially when you come off the back of 20 years or so of a lot of success. And it's just a reality, and you have to work through that. And I think some of the good fruits of the work that's been done now, you're seeing players that look like they're ready to grow in this team and be in a team that's going to compete for the top 4. So that's why Chelsea are in a good position. There's definitely more stability, individual talent. At the top end of the pitch, they are looking very, very dangerous, whoever they come up against. If they can get that base maybe a bit better and get a bit more sound at the back of the pitch, then they can seriously challenge.
They've lost only 2 games in the Maresca in the league. Are you seeing the right sort of steps into that foundation?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, Chelsea has been crying out, hasn't it, for a bit of continuity, a bit of stability over the recent years. That's not been there. You start thinking Pochettino's getting somewhere towards the end of the season, results are coming, and it might, it looked to many people like, they could be on the right track. And
Did
then
he lay some of these foundations?
Possibly, but then all of a sudden, and he goes and it's a new manager and everybody thinks, right, that's torn up again, let's start again. However, I've been impressed with how quickly he's knitted things together, let's say. There looks like a lot more stability. The team looks quite stable. He's not chopping and changing everything, despite having a big squad. And that's not an easy thing to manage. We've seen Pep Guardiola over the years having a quite small, tight squad. Yes, it's detrimental when you get 1 or 2 injuries, but much easier day-to-day to manage. This is a hard team, hard squad to manage, but he looks from the outside to be doing a good job.
When I read about him, like, brutally just, like, moving players over that side, you lot are in the conference, I'm working with these guys, you kind of knew at some stage he's probably got a plan for the players that he's looking at, what he believes are doing what they're doing right now. So I think that as tough as it might be for those players who are not involved in there, not even on the fringe, but he has now got a base of players that he believes that can take him to where they are now.
I worked with that squad for a short period and I went back and had 30 players, which you would call almost frontline players, internationals. And it's harder when you try and juggle it. You're trying to keep everybody happy. So not only are those 6, 7, 8 players that don't travel for the games, they can't even get in the squad, not happy. But when you try and change them in and change them out, then they're not happy. Sometimes you do have to be a bit brutal. And I think they got to a tipping point in the summer where they went, OK, this is the direction. Let's get the squad, the players that we know we want to move forward. And even if it's harsh, maybe you can see some good things off the back of it.
We've often debated on this show, Frank, about how draining that would be, as a manager. Can you focus on the starting 11, on the squad, or does it take your eye off the ball in many ways? The draining, the having to communicate with these players that are international players and deserve the respect in many ways as well.
Yeah, I think it's a fault in strategy as a club if you allow it to be that too big a squad. Because for the manager's point of view, if players want honesty and they want communication, but when you've got too many players of a high level who want and expect and want to play, and you have to give so much time to try and explain to them, which they want to be explained why they're not playing, that is difficult. It's almost taking your eye off the ball to try and keep everybody happy. Reality is you need performance on the pitch. So I think now, hopefully, that issue is becoming less so, and we're seeing that now. And the players that are the strong core of this team, I think, are now going to develop without that problem. And it was particularly, I think, for Graham Potter, was a tough gig at that point, because he had a lot of players there trying to keep everyone happy. So no matter who you are, doesn't matter what manager you are, you can be the best politician, a diplomat behind the scenes. You cannot keep individuals happy who want to play and represent their clubs.
Maresca to come in and go, right, I'm taking the job, but they're the ones that I want, they're the ones I don't want, and you can add X, Y and Z, and he's then got his group.
Yeah, well, I think nothing's easy because they're all tough jobs, these. But if you have the support and the back end of the club and you're in the right direction, if you're going to decide this player is not for me, the club have to say, OK, we'll find a solution and he'll move on, or we're very happy for you to be quite strong and decide that they're not going to play and that's what it is, and we'll find the best solution as and when it comes. So everybody has to back the manager, and it feels like he does have that support, and that's, I think, been a big help to the start that he's made.
So around the place, for instance, when you were keeping the seat warm when there were 30 and they were all wondering, is it me this week? Am I going? There doesn't appear to be that uncertainty, if you like, that there is the squad and they're either on the bench or they're playing now because he's got that number.
I think there'll still be some issues. I still think there's a bit of the process to go. Still think they're quite big, but there will also be players that sit on that bench today that have come at big price tags who won't be happy. So that will be a constant managing process. And you know what, if they deal with it right, these players, and they fight and train well, and they get them sort of back in the team, then that's good competition. So there will be those tests along the way because of the way Chelsea have started and now where they're trying to bring it back. But certainly you can see it's much more positive now.
Because at least if you're Enzo Fernandez, £100 and something million World Cup winner, you're not happy, as Frank says, on the bench today, but you know the clarity is there that you're in Maresca's plans, unlike the others on the other side of the training ground.
Well, exactly. Yeah, you've almost got a starting 11, a group of players, a group of you're not involved at the moment. And that's probably hard to manage those three. It's hard enough to manage two, to sort out your starting 11 and to keep those subs happy, motivated, ready to come on. And you can see the pros and cons for it. I mean, obviously, if anybody, any team is depleted with injuries, then of course it's really helpful to have a big squad. However, I've not managed, which is why I asked Frank, but I know that if I was going to, I'd much prefer to have a smaller squad and not have to, worry about those outside problems. A little bit like Pep Guardiola does. Now, obviously, as we've spoken before, the problem is then you get an injury to Rodri or someone else big, and then all of a sudden you just haven't got the squad to manage. But I would prefer that than having too many players, because that causes a bigger problem in my eyes.
And is it more balanced, do you think, now? You mentioned the recruitment was more aligned in the summer.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think there's been a lot of criticism, a lot of talk about Chelsea in the last 2 years, and some of it might be valid in terms of strategy. But I think now you're certainly seeing a place now where it's more balanced. They've got it to a much more balanced position. And as importantly, they've got talent. What they've brought in, you look at Cole Palmer, who's been a sensation, but you look at Neto now, you look at midfield now, Lavia's getting in the team, Caicedo coming through and showing his true self. Gusto was a great recruitment as well. And the manager will always need that talent. So can you get both things right? Bring in good players, get the right side. No manager will want to work with more than 22, 23 players. At one point, Chelsea had gone towards 30 players and plus. It's very, very difficult. And you have to get the balance of experience, middle of the road and youth within that group.
Well, you mentioned that. The average age today, just over 23 in the starting 11.
Yeah.
And young players have to wait, and they have to be keen to get their opportunity. They can sit on the bench. They can wait for their time to show and wait for their moment. It's sometimes when, at times now, you've probably had certain players that sign with other managers, a bit more experience, not that happy, not content to be there. That's more difficult to manage personally.
But then you look at someone like Enzo who came on for the same kind of monies as Caicedo, and he, as a World Cup winner, it's up to him to try and force himself into that team, because, like Frank mentioned, that's what's going to push that team on. Because at the moment I don't think that Enzo gets in front of Lavia or Caicedo, so he's in the group. So it's up to him to push them in that group so as he can get in. So if he gets in, it's going to be difficult for them to get in there. But the balance, what he's got, is because he's been brutal. There's still players around who probably, when the manager's walking past, are giving him a side eye, not happy with him. Of course there is, because there's players he's just completely cut off. But he's got this balance and it looks good and it's working, so you can't really argue.
I would have paid money to have seen you in the modern day era being told by
I'd probably be in 11, if I'm going to be honest. I'd like to be confident enough to be in 11.
I think you might have been, just because of your reaction. Dear me.
No goals, and Chelsea Arsenal not quite living up to its pre-match billing just yet. It gave him a few chances, so let's have a look at the best for both sides. First one, Graham, falling to Malo Gusto. Do you think he would expect to be scoring from this position once Neto's done the work here?
I think we're disappointed that he hasn't hit the target. I mean, it's fantastic wing play here. He goes once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. I mean, it's unbelievable. Credit to Gusto, because that's what he's in the team for, to get into the box, to attack the goal, to attack the back line. But as it's coming across, I think if anything, he's taking his eye off the ball and he's looking at the ground and is hoping it'll hit his head and go in. But
misjudging the flight, perhaps?
Maybe he's just there. He's not looking at the ball when it's made contact. So it looks a big chance.
Martinelli behind him, he's panicking as well, isn't he? Right.
He's had to wrestle the guy, in fairness to him, and that's probably why he's maybe taking his eye off it. But
you're doing well for him there.
Got
to score.
It's a sitter. It's a sitter. He's got to score. Yeah, he's got to score that chance. Anybody? Yeah, I can't. For him getting it, as soon as he gets in there, he has to score it. He has to. It's a sit-up. It's an absolute sitter. That's the kind of chance. In bed tonight, you're laying there thinking, how did I miss that? How did I miss that chance? Just taking his eye off the ball, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's in the top of his head. It's not like sometimes it's too high. It wasn't even too high for him.
What a cross.
Yeah, brilliant from Pedro Neto, wasn't it? A big moment at the other end for Arsenal as well. Really fashioned by the touch of Martinelli.
It's brilliant touch. Absolutely. This touch makes his opportunity. Great touch. Then, for me, he's just got to drill it as hard as he can. Hopefully it's going to go down at the keeper's feet or go through the keeper's legs. To try and do what he does great. And the fair play, as Graham was saying just before, he does well, Sanchez, because a lot of goalkeepers will come across, make sure they don't get beat at the near post. But
is that a bit of a lack of confidence there for Martinelli with that finish, Merce?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I would say maybe. He hasn't scored a lot of goals. I think.
What should he be doing? Just striking through?
I think he's just got to strike through the ball, and hopefully it goes down at Sanchez's feet. His feet don't move quickly in. But it was impossible. It's a very difficult chance to bend that with that foot going away from the goalkeeper. It's different if it's an Henry one where you're on your right foot and you're bending it in the far corner. Yeah, I think for
Credit
me...
to the keeper as well, though.
Credit to the
Arsenal
keeper.
did get the ball in the net. Quick thinking from the free kick, Jamie.
Quick thinking from Declan Rice. You could see all Chelsea players turning their backs. I mean, he's in a great position. He knows it. He just doesn't get himself onside. It's a really good piece of play. You can see, look, Havertz is alive. He had a little look. You can see Colwell switched off. And Chelsea get really, really lucky here. And he's strong, uses his physicality there and gets his right foot on it. And at the time we thought, yeah, definitely a goal. But you can see there, he's just leaning, his shoulders offside, which is still ridiculous. And I can't get my head around that rule. But anyway.
Rules are rules.